Hello all. I've decided to do a second video on anecdotal evidence, and this is the fallacy of refuting anecdotal evidence. In other words, say I went back to the philosophers' pages and how they like to write things. Anecdotal evidence is a fallacy. Da, 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 da. So what I'm going to point out is it's actually a fallacy. It's a greater fallacy to ignore anecdotal evidence. That anecdotal evidence is actually more true than false, and ignoring anecdotal evidence is actually highly non-scientific. Okay? So you read all the things about anecdotes and Rational Wiki, and they'll tell us blah, 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 blah. Do not trust anecdotal evidence. Oh my gosh, that's pseudoscience and that's not real. All right, well, I'm going to tell you it's the exact opposite. Anecdotal evidence is real. Anecdotal is evidence. And if you ignore anecdotal evidence, well, it is evidence, but anecdotal information, then you are actually ignoring good data. All right? All right. So I gave you the stories last time of various things. All right? So 100 people, 500 people have the same trouble with their car. All right? That's evidence. That's factual evidence. You have 100 people finding the same problem with their car. Right? And then you have other people in the same thread making suggestions of possible correlations that they've observed. So the other people go out there and do their tests. Now, and then they would actually find that the thing, oh yeah, it did seem to occur mostly in the rain, and more in the rain than not in the rain, so forth. Now, what if the person reading that said anecdotal evidence is hogwash? All right? They would say that the steering issue is only in my car. It's only in your car, not in anybody else's car. So I'd point out, well, it's in this cars of 500 people, so it's not just my car. That's a fallacy to ignore that anecdotal evidence. Or if the person, looked at this information and said, I think I saw a cause, it seemed to happen more in the rain than not. Now, the critic would say, oh, well, that's just anecdotal evidence. We should ignore that. And they'd never go off to do the test. Right? So the fallacy of ignoring anecdotal evidence is far greater than any fallacy of the evidence. Okay? So it's ridiculous to ignore data. It's ridiculous to ignore a person's experience. It's ridiculous to ignore a person's observations. It's like, were you there? No. I was there. This is what I saw. Yes, but you don't have it recorded on video, and you didn't do a thorough scientific study. Hey, that's life, buddy. You know where the video is? It's in here. It's called the eyes and the brain. Eyes record it, watch it, brain records it, and my mouth and my fingers are able to repeat it, replay it. This whole system is the video camera. All right? This whole system is the video camera. So the anecdotal evidence is evidence because I've recorded it. Were you there? No. I was there. He was there. He was there, and he was there. You weren't. So why are you telling me to ignore what 100 other people saw? To me, that sounds like a huge fallacy. All right? So then there's the aspect of pseudoscience, and that's a huge deal. Another set of videos I want to get into. Pseudoscience is a negative term for real effects. Okay? So spirituality is absolutely 100% real. I write a lot of videos about this, and I will do 100 more. Okay, you cannot deny the reality of spirituality, of spiritual beings, angels, realms, all these other things. Okay, you cannot deny that. It's real. Now, How do you accept that? Through people's observations. This person said, well, we don't have evidence just because you say you saw it. Well, there's 10,000 other people here who also saw angels. So you got 10 people who say they don't believe in angels, and you got 10,000 people who say they saw angels and have been touched by angels. Who are you going to believe? 10,000 seems to be greater than 10. I think we have a winner. Okay? Or how about this? I love this. I own 2 cats. They're right there. I see them. That's anecdotal evidence. I have 2 cats. Anecdotal evidence. But they're there. Are you in my house? No. Well, I'm in my house. I see my cats. They're right there. So why don't you trust the system? Okay? Trust the observational system. This is a video camera. This is a type of video camera. It records. It observes. And I can relay that through my mouth, through my words, through my typing. Just because you are not here and you don't see the cats on a video camera, you can't ignore the reality. Okay? So this whole idea about ignoring anecdotal evidence is absurd. So in my second video on anecdotal evidence, I want to make it clear. Anecdotal evidence is good evidence. It's solid evidence. Anecdotal evidence is just as good as any scientific evidence. I firmly believe that. And you should trust anybody who observes and records. Okay? Now, of course, there's judgment, right? You know, some people you can trust more than others, right? Some person has a credibility of history, a history of honesty, integrity. Okay, you can tend to trust that person, right? And then also corroboration. You have 10,000 other people, 500 other people, however many people it is, who have observed similar things, similar anecdotal stories. That's all good data. So you don't have to rely just on me for some of this stuff, or one person and their story. You can go down the list. You can go down the internet. You can put up a booth in the middle of a carnival and ask people to come over who've had this experience and tell your story. It's all good. It's all good, solid evidence. Let me finish with this. A lot of the scientific studies are false. Like the Higgs boson does not exist, never existed. That's false. People they claim that is true. It's not. You know, half the stuff the quantum mechanics comes up with is not. It's not true. It's false. Feynman diagrams, false. Feynman diagrams is a false science. So, you know, relying on the scientific experts alone does not necessarily make it true. And dismissing the anecdotal evidence. Anecdotal evidence is not. It's not false. Anecdotal evidence. Actually, I trust anecdotal evidence more than I trust professional studies. If you want to put it that way, I really do, because those are real people observing real things, telling real stories. That's to be believed. That's to be trusted. A scientific study that's paid for by somebody to get a certain biased agenda result? No. Less likely to believe that. They're doing it for their funding. I'm less likely to believe that. So, if you want to trust anything, trust anecdotal evidence. I want to start flipping this around. Anecdotal evidence should be one of your number one sources of factual information. And the more anecdotal evidence you have for a particular observation, motion, mechanics, situation, if you have 10,000 of these, if you have 1,000,000 of these, one or two people may be lying, but not 10,000 people. Okay? And those 10,000 people are probably more right than any scientific study. Okay? So, it is a fallacy to ignore anecdotal evidence. People say that I am non-scientific because I like anecdotal evidence. Well, I say it's the reverse. You are non-scientific for ignoring the anecdotal evidence. Trust the people. There are what, 7 billion people in this world? That's a lot of people with a lot of observations, a lot of life experiences. I think if there's a great majority of them that have experienced something, and you look at a lot of these people who have a long history of being honest, it's truth. That's all there is to it. That's all.